What is up, everybody? Before we get into the video today, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. I genuinely never expected the last video to do as well as it did, and you guys just gave me so much support. But what surprised me even more were the comments. So many of you opened up about your own lives, your relationships, your fears, and your experiences. I read every single one, and getting to have those conversations with you guys this early just means everything to me. Today we're playing some Kingdom Hearts 2 again, but I wanted to switch things up today. I still love making the philosophy videos, and do not worry because they're not going anywhere. I have so many plans for future videos and ideas that I cannot wait to get out there. But I also wanted this channel to be just kind of a place where we can sit down and think and have conversations. So today I just found a bunch of questions from Reddit that I thought were interesting, and I'm just going to answer them to the best of my ability. Obviously, these are just my opinions, so I don't expect everyone to agree with me. And one thing I realized from the last video is that I actually really enjoy hearing your guys' perspectives too. So if you guys enjoy this format, I'm thinking one day we can do an anonymous Q&A, or just always have it open where I just answer questions you guys send in. But if that's something you'd be interested in, let me know. Okay, so the first question we have is, how do I help my best friend with moving on from their ex from 5 years ago? Basically, his friend dated this girl back in high school, but 5 years later, he still brings her up all the time. She's moved on, she's in another relationship, and despite listening to him, giving advice, and trying to help, nothing seems to work. So his question is, how do I actually help my friend move on? Let me just start by saying that in the situations like this, it's really important to be a good friend. I've talked to multiple friends about this exact thing, and moving on is not easy to say the least. I think a lot of people seriously underestimate how long it can take, especially if someone tied a lot of their identity or hope to that relationship. And at the same time, I also don't think you can force somebody to move on before they're ready. The most important thing we can do as friends is listen to them, support them, and just remind them that there's life outside of that relationship. But at the end of the day, they are the only ones that can truly make the decision to move on. And I think this is where a lot of people get stuck. They think moving on means forgetting someone. I don't think it does. I think moving on means accepting that that chapter of your life is over. It definitely does not mean that you have to convince yourself that you hated every second of it or to not appreciate what it taught you. But the way I've brought this up to my friends in the past is not simply just telling them to get over her. I'd ask him if he knows what he's still holding on to. Because sometimes it's not the person you're missing. A lot of the times it's the future you imagine with them or the memories you created with them. Memories we don't have to forget, but memories we also cannot mix with the current reality of the situation. Just remember to be supportive, but it is also important that you don't confuse being a good friend with trying to solve a problem that only they can truly solve. Okay, so question number 2 is, how do you guys act so confident in talking stages? I think it's worth saying that confidence is something that can be learned over time, just like any other skill. Everybody has their own insecurities, and to be honest with you, I wasn't naturally confident either. I know that with certain girls in the past, I definitely overthought things. I'd wonder if I was texting too much or if I was saying the right things, if I should wait another day before replying. And so I don't think that's necessarily a lack of confidence. I think, at least for me, it was a lack of experience. And looking back, I don't think what changed was that I suddenly became confident. I think I just realized that being rejected isn't going to kill me. Facing rejection is not the worst thing. Every awkward conversation, every time I got left on red, every relationship that didn't work out, it all became experience instead of evidence that something was wrong with me. So to answer the question of how people act so confident in talking stages, I honestly don't think a lot of them are. Some are just better at hiding their nerves, and others have simply been nervous enough times that it literally just doesn't control them anymore. And seriously, confidence isn't something that you're born with, it's something you build over time. The more experiences you have, the more confident I think you can become. So this one's a little interesting. What was the scariest movie you watched when you were a kid that traumatized you? Easy. How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And before you think it, no, not the live action one, the cartoon Grinch. When I tell you that cartoon Grinch is 10 times scarier, no, 100 times scarier than Jim Carrey's Grinch, I mean that with everything inside of my soul. Bro, that face he would make was just, bro, no. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Absolutely not. He gave me nightmares for years. But I guess thanks a lot, Dr. Seuss. If you're introducing your kid to Dr. Seuss, let's just stick to, I don't know, the Lorax. And don't even think about coming at me about, oh, it was not that scary. You don't know what you're talking about. Question 4, how do you manage your nose hairs? Nose trimmer. Next question is, how would you answer to, can I bring a friend when asking a girl out? I think this is a really tough one, actually. I don't think there's a universal answer to this one. I think it really depends on more why she's asking. And I think there's really 3 paths of thought you can take with this. Those are, is she bringing a friend because she's nervous? Is she bringing a friend because she barely knows you? Or is she bringing a friend because she actually doesn't want it to feel like a date? Those are 3 completely different situations. Now, personally, if I had just met her, I honestly wouldn't mind. Think about it from her perspective. She's about to go spend time one-on-one with someone she barely knows. So bringing a friend might just make her feel more comfortable, and I don't think there's anything really wrong with that. Her being able to have a friend can ease that awkward tension that a lot of first couple of dates can cause and effectively make her act more like her true self. And I think that's honestly a good thing, because oftentimes on the first couple of dates, it's supposed to be a read into the other person anyways. Isn't the whole point to see who she truly is? Now, on the other hand, if we've known each other for months, we've been talking consistently, and every time I ask her out, she wants to bring a friend, then I would probably start wondering if she's actually interested or not. Just don't assume that her saying something like this is instantly rejection, when there are often so many other explanations as to why she might say something like this. What goes through your mind when you really like someone? I think my answer to this has actually changed over time. There have definitely been girls where I overthought everything, do the usual analyzing texts too much, replaying conversations in my head, what could have I said, wondering if I said too much or if I didn't say enough. But then there's this one girl that honestly not only changed my view on how it feels to truly like someone, but my views on just girls in general. So a couple years back, I met this girl through my cousin, and the crazy part is I only really got to hang out with her a handful of times. We lived pretty far away from each other, so most of our relationship was honestly just talking on the phone. And it was never something that was official. So when I say relationship, I mean just what we were building. But with her, it actually wasn't hard. I didn't feel like I had to analyze every little thing I said. I wasn't constantly wondering if I was texting her too much or worried about saying the wrong things. I just genuinely enjoyed talking to her. Another thing I realized was that the distance wasn't always a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, there were definitely moments where it was hard and I wish I could see her, but it wasn't as easy as just deciding to go grab food or hang out whenever we wanted. Oh wait, hold on, my favorite line is coming up. One second. Looks like my summer vacation is over. Sorry about that. But because we live so far apart, every time I got to see her felt way more special. It wasn't just another random day. Every visit became something that I looked forward to for weeks. And I think it made me appreciate every moment we actually got together even more. Looking back, I think that's when I realized something. When I truly like someone, I don't spend all my energy trying to convince them to like me. I spend my energy instead appreciating the kind of person they are. And she made me want to become a better person, not because I thought I had to earn her love, but because I genuinely admired the kind of person she was. So I guess when I really like someone, it's not fear anymore. It's just appreciation for who they are. Appreciation that I got to meet someone who reminded me what genuine connection feels like. Next question is, how common are genuine friendships between men and their female coworkers? Now, whether or not men and women can just be friends is one of those questions people have debated for so long. I don't think there's one universal answer to this. I think it depends a lot on people and the situation. Personally, I have female friends that I genuinely think of almost like just siblings, sisters. There's never been any romantic interest, and we're just good friends. As for coworkers specifically, I actually think age plays a bigger role than people realize in this. Throughout high school, I worked at probably 5 or 6 different jobs, and some were only for a few months, while others were a few years. And every single one had female coworkers. When you're 16, 17, 18 years old, almost everybody is single, meeting new people, and trying to figure out relationships. So naturally, there's probably going to be more friendships, flirting, more crushes, and more people dating coworkers. But the older I've gotten, the more I've noticed a lot more people are in committed relationships now. They're focused on work or school or building their lives, and it becomes a lot easier to just appreciate someone as a friend or a coworker. So are genuine friendships between male and female coworkers common? I actually think they are, but just like any friendship, it depends really on the people involved and whether both are on the same page. Now, this next question is going to be one that I think is going to be really interesting to answer. And it's, if humans never needed sleep, how different would society be? I really wanted to get into like the realistic answer to this. So humans spend roughly 1/3 of their entire lives sleeping. So what if we never had to? Let's just say you were to sleep 8 hours a day. That's 56 hours a week, and that's 122 days a year. About 26 years of an 80-year life. Think about that. 26 years. From the day you're born until the day you die, you'd spend almost 3 decades unconscious, that's a crazy thought to me. So if we suddenly got those 26 years back, what would actually happen? Now, my first thought was that we would become really productive, but would we? Most people, I think, immediately think we'd invent twice as much, which maybe, but then you have to ask, would companies just make us work 16-hour shifts? Like, that's interesting because instead of 40-hour weeks, maybe 80-hour weeks, society would have to adapt. And then you have to think, how much further ahead would humanity be? Like, if every scientist, engineer, artist, doctor suddenly gained 8 more hours every day, would humanity progress twice as fast? Probably not. I mean, think about the people that shaped a lot of things. Einstein, Newton. Imagine they all got another third of their lives. That would be insane. But I think you have to start looking at this from a different perspective, because the question isn't really, would we have more time? Obviously, we would. The question is, would we actually use the time well? Because I gotta be honest, I think probably not. Because right now people would say if I had more time, I'd finally, learn or do whatever they've been trying to do or haven't had time to do. But then you ask yourself, when was the last time you had a day where, you pretty much had nothing going on, like say a Saturday? Did you spend all 16 hours learning or doing that thing? Probably not. I know I probably spent it playing video games or watching YouTube. Maybe I took a nap. So this shows us an important point, which is maybe the problem isn't that we don't have enough time. Maybe the problem is how we use the time we already have. I think if we were to figure out how to use the time we already have efficiently all the time, then society would slowly, adapt for the better. Adding more time doesn't automatically just create purpose. It just gives us more opportunities to choose what to do. So to answer the question, would society be different? Yeah, I think it would, but I don't think we'd be all that different. We'd work more, we'd procrastinate more. I don't think the biggest problem is that we don't have enough time. I think it's how we choose to use the time we already have. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope some of these questions made you think more about things. Maybe some of them helped people going through things. Remember, if you do like this kind of content, let me know. Otherwise, I can stick more to the philosophy side of things. Just figured I'd, dabble at exploration of other things a little bit. Let me know if you are interested in doing a Q&A because I would love having anonymous questions to answer. So thank you guys. Keep your heads up. I'll see you later. Bye.